Hi, let's jump back into it. Last video we were looking at settings in SDS2, specifically the Fabricator standard Fabricator connections. And in today's video we're going to finish that and see where we want to go next. So in the previous video we looked at the clip angle settings and the bent plate settings and the shear plate settings. There was a lot of information in those three settings. So this time we're going to try to go through these a lot quicker. And we're going to start with the end plate settings. So here we have our end plate settings, and I believe the questions asked are really self-explanatory again. So like, what do you want your vertical edge distance to be? The shop that I'm working with, they want 1.5 inches for their edge distances, both horizontal and vertical. So let's set that. The minimum thickness for an end plate they would like to have is no less than 3/8. They want 5.5 center to center for wide gauge, 4-inch centers for narrow gauge, just like their clip angles. They would like to have short slots just in case they're something a little bit off. And then end plate safety connection, they don't want a safety connection. And this shop does not like the vertical bolt spacing like we looked at last time, to where if you needed 4 rows of bolts, can you get rid of a row of bolts and use a wider expanded spacing? And they do not like to combine their beam plates and their vertical end plates. So that is just like we looked at in the shear tab, the bent plate, and the clip angle connections. So we'll say OK on this one. So that gets us to beam seat settings. If your shop is using beam seats, how do they want them to go? We would like short slots, still member edge distance for seated connection, 1.5 inches. Same thing everywhere. They want 1.5 inch edge distance. Extend seat to column flanges if the clearance is less than 0, or the clearance is less than 0. So you could say 1/2 inch and it'll pull them out to where it actually welds it to or might not weld it to the flanges, but will extend to the flanges. Do you want the angle seat to the supporting member? Do you want it welded or bolted? And do you want to square cut the beam in? We would want it bolted in this shop. They are a bolted shop. Joist connection settings. This is pretty much your joist setup. So I can't really answer this one for you. You would need to speak with your joist provider and provide what they want. And most of the time, this isn't going to affect your steel, except for the OSHA, span for bolted joist. Because if it's over 40 foot, your joists are supposed to be bolted. Cap plate settings. What's your minimum cap plate thickness? What's your edge distance? You'll see me typing 1.5 inches a lot. Extended flange plate settings. So let's look at the help menu on this one. And I like to make this just a little shorter, and we'll even go ahead and minimize that screen. Once again, like I said in the last video, SDS2 has a great help menu. So let's just rotate some things around. There we go. So minimum plate thickness would be 3/8 for this shop. We don't like to use anything less than 3/8. Maximum plate thickness, I'm fine with it being on 2. Minimum plate length, let's just jump down there. So all of this, I guess I should have explained first, is if you have to add plates to your flanges to catch a base plate, like we have shown here, how far out do you want these to be? I could say minimum plate length is 4 inches. That means it's going to be 4 inches this way, and it can be down to 1 inch this way. I typically try to avoid these unless the design calls for it. But because most of the time it's going to put your bolts inside here. So like, it would be weird to have a 5-inch flange with a 12-inch wide base plate on it. It would just be weird. But it does happen. Or maybe sometimes you might have to put this out here to catch deck. But that is an ear plate, and there is a component for that. So let's jump back to our, so we have gusset plate settings. Our minimum gusset plate is 3/8, maximum 3/4. I like that. Round your gusset plate length width to the greatest, I could say 1/2 inch. I want all my plates to end in a 1/2 inch increment. Edge distance, same thing. I want 1.5 inch for 3/4 inch bolts. I want 1 3/4 inch. I want 2 inch, whatever your shop requires here. I'm hoping we're not using 1 1/8 or greater than 1 1/8. This is set to 1/2 inch. I want to clip everything by 1 inch. That is the corner. So like if it's coming to a radius. So this clip here, I want it to be 1 inch. So next it's asking your shoulder distance. So a lot of times engineers will say that needs to be 1 inch minimum. I recently did a job where they said they wanted that to be 2 inches minimum. So I would change this to 2 inches if that's what it was. And then the same thing here, 2 inches. So here it's asking, how do you want to prepare that plate? So do you want it cut perpendicular to your brace, or do you want a square cut to the world? Me, I like to clip them all. I just think it looks better to do this. But if the engineer told me to go square, I would go square. And then the same thing with your horizontal braces. But there is an extra question there asking, like, if you're going to a beam, what do you want to do? And if you're going to... So here, if you're going around a column, do you want to clip the corner or do you want to cope the corner? And same thing with the beam to beam connection. Do you want to clip it or cope it? So we will clip at the beam and cope at the column. And then we're still going to clip all those. Gusset splice. This should be in the design of your job. So this you need to look at your design and fill out accordingly. And remember to use the help menu for explanations on what your minimum field clearance, your maximum field clearance is, because this is going to depict if you need filler plates or not. Then we have welded connection settings, which you can see here. Like, do you want to weld it all around on an angle branch? And if so, do you want 3/16 weld? And then your preferred materials. So this is, say you're working for a shop and they're like, we have so much stock of angle 4x4 by 3/8. You can come in here and type in you want 4x4 by 3/8 to be used. And the higher it is in this chart, the more SDS2 is going to default to that size. And you can do that with angles, WTs, flat bars, and plates. So you can see we have some filled out in all of these here already. So plates are a little different. So plates, it's going to come in here. This is where I have a seat plate. Do I want it to be A36, A50, or grade 50? And you can do that for each one. So if they say that they want all the plates to be A36, except your shear tabs, I could come in here and change my shear tabs to whatever they need to be, but the rest of the job can stay what they are. So we can see that everything right now on this is set to A572 grade 50, which is leading me to believe we haven't got to this yet. But if I come to material grades and I look at plates, A572 grade 50 is at the top, not A36. So if I move my A36 up and save this, now if we go back to that and we look at our plates, they should all say A36 because they are defaulting to what we have the default set to. But if we, like I said, if we need to change one of these, like end plates to A572 grade 50, I can do that here. That'll leave all the rest of the plates as A5 or A36, with the end plate being the exception at A572 grade 50. So that is all of the standard Fabricator connections. So in the next video, we will take a look at piece marking, which I think this one will go pretty quick. But we're going to make our way through this whole list. And then we will have our job set up for a new fabricator, which will be great. That way, the next time we start a job for this fabricator, we can just go up here to our job name. We can hit new. I can give the job a name, so we'll just call this one test for now. We're not going to save anything. I can copy from, and we've been working in AW new, so I can actually hit OK here, and it'll copy all of those settings from that job into this job using it as a fabricator. So if I was working for XYZ Fabricator, I would name this job that we're working in would be named XYZ Fabricator, and then I would know every time that I need to go grab that so I can continue on. So thanks for watching, and we will see you next week. Have a good week.